This is the best of VOCM Open Line with Brian Callahan.
And without further delay, I'm going to welcome the province's child and youth advocate to the program, Wilma McInnes. Welcome to the program. Thanks for being available so early this morning.
Good morning, Brian.
Oh, well, I will say this right off the top. I mean, you took over the position just back in June. So first and foremost, I would like to say your call for better communication, I couldn't agree more. But no one's going to accuse you of being lacking in that department. I've heard you speaking on this troubling report throughout the past week. I mean, late last week and into this week too, including on our show this morning, your VOCM Mornings. Tough first big file, hey? I mean, since assuming the role in June?
Yes, for sure. And, you know, it's one of many topics and issues that certainly our staff here have been working really diligently on, even before I landed in this chair in June. So it's, we're glad to get this report out, to start having some discussion about what needs to happen, and to focus on the rights of young people here in the province.
I heard you mention, you're hoping this was a one-off, and we're talking, of course, about these two children who came from the Ontario system to our system here in the province. And a lot of money unanswered questions, as you have still said, the lack of documentation and that sort of thing. It's been spoken to, all the details of it. But when you say you're hoping it's a one-off, how concerned are you that it's not?
Yeah, well, and I guess right at the center, just so your listeners are aware, I mean, right at the center of this report that we called off the radar are two young children, and just by the fact that they are so young certainly makes them very vulnerable. And you layer on that vulnerability that, you take two young children, you're removed from your home, you're removed from your province. It just increases that vulnerability just so much, right? And yes, I mean, once we started this process, I mean, we saw so many of the rights of these two young children were just certainly not respected and contravened, and in terms of their right to be protected from violence, their right that once you are removed, I mean, you have a right to be safe and safer than you were when you were removed.
The whole purpose of that system, yes, absolutely.
Exactly, and your right to have that living situation reviewed, and while you are in care. And so, yeah, we certainly don't want this to happen to other children. I mean, those rights are, they're intrinsic to every child, and we certainly don't want to see that happen to other children.
There were charges apparently made here, laid here of child maltreatment, but the report does not say what happened with those charges. I'm sure. I mean, when we're talking about taking this to a finality and a conclusion and making sure it doesn't happen again, I think it behooves the government, and obviously the public would like to know what the ultimate outcome was here, since we have a full report except the outcome. Can we find out what happened with the charges?
And certainly, I mean, linked to the work, I mean, our focus is to make sure that the rights of these young children are protected. Sure. And one of those rights is privacy. And I mean, they have a right to privacy, which is why in our report, I mean, we certainly didn't name the other province. I mean, we have just as many unanswered questions for the other province as we do our own, but we'll leave that to our counterparts with another oversight body to do that, right? But we wanted to, I mean, the whole nature of our investigatory work is confidentiality, right? We want to protect the privacy of these two young children, and at the end of the day, we want to make sure that they're safe and protected, and for them, that meant that they had to leave this province again and be placed elsewhere. Yeah.
We have a lot of charges and criminal proceedings in the courts right now involving young children, vulnerable children, and there's a publication ban on their names. We can't know their ages, their gender, or anything, just like this case here. So I'm not quite clear why we can't just know the outcome of the charges without identifying the children.
And these, I mean, in this circumstance and in other circumstances, we know that sometimes matters go through court at a slower pace, right?
Oh, do they ever?
Right. So there may not be an outcome of that yet. So, as sometimes there are. So,
right.
But we felt it was really important to get this report out. We didn't want to wait. We didn't want to wait any longer to wait on a court proceedings, because we can certainly do this work, and we felt it was important to get this out and start having some of these discussions, and to make sure that the department is aware of our concerns and certainly the significant gaps that we saw. And you mentioned there at the onset, we saw some sort of very significant gaps in terms of just even adherence to a protocol. And again, for folks who aren't aware, when these situations happen, when families or children are moving from one province or territory to another, and if they happen to be involved with, in terms of an agency or an organization, in terms of child protection, or if they're in care or placement or adoption services, that there's a mandatory protocol that's supposed to happen between provinces and territories, and which basically highlights the responsibilities and roles of each province or territory when that happens. So, and it outlines what that should look like in terms of expectations. And so, at the core, we didn't see any adherence to that protocol. And through that protocol, there's supposed to be an agreement created between the two jurisdictions, between the two provinces, to say, okay, well, this is what we'll do, this is what we expect from you, and that just ensures that there will be supervision, there will be monitoring, that there will be communication, there will be documentation, because what happened in this case, because that protocol was never finalized, that we saw all these gaps, and because of that, these children basically went unseen for a long period of time. So, in this case, we saw, what should never happen in terms of that lack of oversight, that lack of accountability, and just even some of the language that we see in terms of some of the policy. We see the language, and we talked about this in our report as well, in terms of courtesy work, right? And when we hear the word courtesy, oftentimes we think, oh, okay, that's going to be done in good faith. That's sort of a nicety, Oh,
it's a pleasant word, right? Courtesy.
Yeah, right. It's very pleasant, and really, it's in these situations, it's a necessity, right? It's not a nicety, and really, it should be mandatory. And so certainly that reflects in the recommendations that we made in this report as well. That we want to see that word just totally abandoned, right? Because there are critical expectations that should happen, and they are connected to legislative responsibilities and solid social work practice. So it's not it should not be courtesy work. It should be critical work, right? That needs to happen, right?
Couldn't agree more. Words matter, especially in a context to this case. And we know there were red flags here. It's not that this doesn't. How often does it happen that a couple, they're interested, then they withdraw the application, then they're interested again, then they withdraw the application again? I have to think. We're talking about the vulnerability of children, and we don't know the ages. Can we even know the ballpark ages of these children when this was happening?
Well, they would have been, quite young, not in the school system. So,
okay.
Right. So we do know that young, and again, that certainly speaks to their vulnerability, right? And
do we know the gender even? I don't know how that would infringe privacy.
No, and it's not really important in terms of that. What we want to really highlight is the practice, and that that this doesn't happen again. I did see in another media report over the weekend that the minister had mentioned that there's 14 children and youth who are under the similar monitoring.
They're under this new interprovincial coordinator, correct?
Yeah. So the interprovincial coordinator has existed, and that person is the initial point of contact in terms of these situations, like when a family or a child is moving to the province, and so that's that first point of contact. Yep. They're then negotiating that sort of what that agreement looks like, having that connection with the region who are actually out doing that frontline work, right? And what we saw in this situation as well was that there was no ability for that coordinator who's having all these very important critical discussions with other provinces about these children coming, and no ability for them to document that in their database system, right? And so what we saw was that so much of the documentation was through emails, and there was no no documentation in their database system that spoke to what the planning was, the reasons for decision making, what next steps are. None of that happened either. And so now we do. Since late last year, we've been advised by the department that they have made some, and this is spoken to in our report as well. They've made some changes where that coordinator can now add some of those notes in their database system that the region can see them, and really we want to see beyond that. We want to see good, solid communication.
Notes are wonderful, but you want every piece of workup you can get on this.
Exactly.
It doesn't get any more private or personal.
No, and we saw, when our staff started this investigation, we saw some documentation was created that at the onset of our investigation. So it was 11 months later, right? Yeah. And we learned of a visit that had happened at one point, and that wasn't there was no file created for these children to document that file. Public health reached out at one point to chat about immunization, and that wasn't documented, which really then should have again sparked some at least curiosity in terms of who are these children from another province that are here when public health calls about consent, right?
Yep.
It should have. There certainly, as we speak about in the report. Without there was no agreement or protocol, so there may not have been a legal obligation but certainly there should have been follow-up and in terms of the care for these two kids, right? Yeah. And it really just highlights, what happens when these protocols aren't followed, and really the failure of two provinces to really protect two very vulnerable children, right?
Absolutely. And so it raises the question, and I'll let you go on this, I guess, is the fact that, first of all, the lag time. When this was happening, the amount of time it took, and then there's a report, and then there's years later. Who knows how much of this can be going on at the same time and what's falling through the cracks and what one. So this is just one case, a report identified and a report prepared. I must wonder, in your mind, you must have an idea, how much would you estimate, this has been going on or currently, or other kids that could be falling through these cracks, unreported, undetected?
Yeah, and hence the recommendations that we make in terms of making sure that tracking and monitoring is happening, and that not only that these requests from other provinces are documented, but they're finalized, right? And we also spoke to auditing that communication. The department would want to know that statistical information in terms of so now we know that there's 14, and we would want to make sure that there's proper monitoring happening in terms of those, right? And
sorry to interrupt, but just to be clear for listeners, so 14 is the amount of cases that are interprovincial files right now, kids
that's
in the system to come and be fostered here by parents in this province.
Yeah, some type of, and this is what a number that the minister had quoted over the weekend. I've not spoken with the minister, but 14 cases, we'll say, who are here, I guess, from other provinces.
And these aren't at-risk cases, right? These are just the normal interprovincial cases, or are these ones that are being looked at because there are red flags?
Well, they could be families who are involved with, say, child protection in another province who maybe the province has received an alert that they've moved. So it's not just children who are moved in terms of in care. It could be families who are actually involved in the protection system, and the other province has concerns about the care, and now they have moved maybe to our province or to another province. And so it's not only, say, requests from other provinces that this protocol adheres to. It's these what they call alerts as well, right?
Yes.
And so, and that's, you want to monitor all of that very closely, and because that's the right of these children to have that, whether you're involved in protection or if it's in care, or a prospective adoption. That is their right. That they need to be monitored and protected, and their safety, their rights, their well-being. It all depends on all of that, and again, hence like why we called it off the radar, because if we don't do this right, children are going to continue to fall off the radar. And the one other thing that I just wanted to add, that we talked about the recommendations that our office makes and made in this report, and we go back every year. I always say that, our reports we won't let our reports gather dust on a bookshelf, because we'll go back and ask for updates, right? And, just as, we go back to every department or entity that we've made recommendations to, and we'll ask, okay, so what are you doing? What is the update? Show us that you're working towards implementation. And we assess that, right? So we'll assess whether it's implemented, that it's partially, that it's being worked on, or that it's not at all. And we'll just continue to go back with questions until we're satisfied. And we'll be doing that with this one as well.
That's great news, because it's one thing to have a report entitled Off the Radar. It's another thing to keep this on the radar. These reports come out, they're one-offs, they fall out of the news cycle, then we move on. And these are our children. These are other children. These are children, period. And it's amazing that bureaucracy and red tape, they could get lost in that. You think the human side of the bureaucrats would kick in and go, wait a minute, we have to do more here. So, the report is an important step, but great work on your part in the office and everything, and we'll be looking for more information as it comes out on this. Thanks so much for this again. Wilma McInnes, the Child and Youth Advocate, thanks again for doing this morning.
All right, take care.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go to line number 1, and Jeff, you're on the air.
Good day. I spoke to you last week about Controlled Drugs and Substance Act petition I had to have drug dealers held accountable for the overdoses they cause.
Yes, Jeff.
I gave my Facebook information. You can reach me on Facebook to view that petition. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, within 2 hours after talking to you, my Facebook account was deactivated. It seems like I may have offended those people that benefit from the drug problem, and they probably made false reports about my content, whatnot. And getting back to one of your previous callers about AI is not always accurate, and if you get enough people complain about something, AI just flags it, I guess, on Facebook and shuts you down, kind of thing, right?
Did you get an actual explanation of, or a specific, reason or whatever the contravention was?
All it said was that my content goes against their standards. There was no indication of what post they were talking about, if it was a picture or a comment I made. The last comment I made was I was on Open Line talking about the drug crisis and the petition, and that's all basically I said. And shortly after that, my account got flagged for some reason, and no explanation what they were talking about in regards to the content. It's just it didn't go against their standards. Or it did go against it.
You mentioned Open Line, Jeff, so there's...
I mentioned Open Line, yeah.
That's when they get nervous. Look, I don't mean to make light of it. I would suggest that the content, especially if it's an AI or a very cursory scan of it by the AI systems that Facebook uses and Meta uses, I would suggest, and of course now they're under so much pressure to monitor and be careful with everything in light of, I don't know how many lawsuits they're facing right now, Meta, especially when it comes to teens and kids and the stuff that they're being coerced into doing, led down, whatever. But these cursory scans that they do, there's so much talk in your petition about drug abuse or drug criminals and illicit drugs, and all the content may have, discombobulated the system where it found that it was just too risky for them to allow it to be posted. I don't know. It'd be nice to have something a bit more specific, because I got a lot of calls and a lot of emails asking for your specific contact information too, so they could follow follow up.
And I got a lot of emails so far since then.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, what I suspect is people probably didn't like what I was having to say, and they just randomly reported stuff, just try to get it flagged. And of course, if you got enough people reporting something,
that's right.
AI is not always accurate. They'll flag it, and that's it. And of course, I done the appeal decision. The appeal decision, you don't get to talk to nobody. Still all AI. You hit the button for appeal, and it came back that they're still going to keep my account deactivated. So my account is pretty well gone. But that's only a minor setback for me. It's not going to deter me from doing what I'm doing. Unfortunately, people's not going to be able to view any of my content regarding the drug crisis now because of that, and they're not going to be able to get access to the petition. But I do ask that if anybody got copies of the petition, to circulate it themselves on Facebook and do it that way. And if they need to reach out to me for a copy of the petition, they can still reach me at justiceforlucaslethbridge@outlook.com. And of course, the 4 is the number 4, not FOR. So that's justiceforlucaslethbridge@outlook.com. So as of right now, yes, with the number 4. Okay. And it's sad that we're in a world where AI kind of dictates what we do and what we don't do without an actual human reviewing it. And if a real human actually reviewed my content, what I posted up over the years, they'd realize that I'm not out to do no harm. I'm trying to do good. But apparently sometimes when you try to do good, other people try to shut you down.
Yeah. And I had a conversation just earlier. I don't know if you heard us talking, but Colin and I were talking about it.
Yes, yeah.
And look, it's gotten away from us. Meta recognizes it. Everyone in the world knows it's gotten away from us. Not all the politicians want to shout that from the mountaintops because they are part of the lawmaking brethren, if you will, and somewhat responsible in some ways for letting this fly under the radar. And now it's become the default. So these companies, rather than give it any real heavy technical fixes right now, they're trying to fix whatever they can. And that basically comes down to a simple, I would say, it's defaulting now to the most careful it can be. And as you said, the more numbers, there's power in numbers, and the more complaints they get about a particular site, if they're on the fence and they can't quite discern what's going on, they're probably going to cut it before they let it go.
Yeah, I'll give an example with Facebook. I've actually reported full-on pornography I've seen on Facebook, and of course you report it, and it comes back to you saying they didn't remove the content because it didn't go against standards. And you shake your head like, okay, this is full-on pornography on Facebook, but yet somebody reports me probably for something, probably making a fake report saying my picture was nude or something, and rather than AI or somebody actually review it, if they got enough complaints, they just shut you down. So to me, it all also plays into the factor of the money part of it. If you're paying for advertisement and whatnot, and if they're taking in money, they might let some stuff slide. And of course, I don't believe in buying into this content part for money. I was asked by Facebook numerous times, I qualify for monetary compensation for my content just because people are looking at it. Mm-hmm. And I always declined it because I'm not doing it for money. I never accept that stuff. People are viewing my content because they're concerned, like myself, with the drug crisis. I don't want videos halfway in between cutting in what I'm saying for advertisement. I'm ranting and raving, for instance, about the crisis. I don't want a video in between of advertisement of what I'm trying to say. So, a lot of stuff comes down to money. They might let some stuff slide because you're paying for it or whatnot. And, unfortunately, Facebook has become flooded with a lot of stuff that's really inappropriate, like pornography, for instance. And it doesn't, you report it all you want, and a lot of times it doesn't get taken down. And then the most innocent comment would get flagged, and then all of a sudden you're suspended. So AI is a concern, like the caller said previously. It is a concern, and right now it is delaying my progress with getting that petition out and have drug dealers held accountable for the overdoses they cause. And so I ask anybody that hears this all across Canada, this is a petition that can be signed anywhere in Canada as long as you're a resident of Canada and you're over 19. I encourage anybody across Canada to contact me at the email I provided, and I can send a PDF file with my address eventually where they can mail it back to me, and then it will be presented in the House of Commons. Because we all know when people people start to get ahead with doing something good, there's always people trying to knock you down, which in my case has happened a lot over the years. I've actually had my account temporarily deactivated before when speaking on open line, but I got it back after about 7 days. So obviously when people don't like what you got to say, or, people that are benefiting from the drug trade, they're going to do whatever they can to slow you down. And but as, they try to stop me, but it's not stopping. I'm full force. I don't care what they do or what they report or how they try to stop me. No matter what, what I'm doing is still going to go ahead, and I'm going to do what I got to do to protect my family, my community, and do what's right for everybody. And I'm not too concerned. Yes, sad my account is gone, but it ain't stopping me.
Yeah, Jeff, look, it's the good, bad, and the ugly of social media, specifically Facebook, right? If you're going to engage and you're going to interact, you're going to have to be, that's the trick with me. I just, very little engagement and interacting. There's reasons that people are on it, obviously, to promote events and causes such as yours, but you got to remember that what it's like, and if you can get away without using it, it's ideal, but we know the reach of it. Unfortunately, it's still a long way from being cleaned up. Jeff, look, if anyone's looking for that petition, we have your info, and you just gave out the email again. Good luck with it, man. We spoke last week about the case.
If anybody wants to hear the call from last week, they can look you up, obviously, on last Thursday's talk, whatever, and they can listen to the details of what I've had to say.
Absolutely. Listen, good luck with the cause. It's a big one, and the case currently before the court, I know the manslaughter case involving the young man who's charged, Zachary Mulroney, that's still coming up now, I think, the end of the month, so we'll be keeping an eye on that.
Yes, I'm keeping a close eye on that myself, because it relates to my situation, and it's something that the police need to do more of with charges with regards to drug pushers.
Loud and clear. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go to line number one, and the Liberal MHA for Virginia Waters Pleasantville and the Deputy Opposition House Leader, Bernie Davis. You're on the air.
Hey, Brian. How you doing?
Pretty good for Monday. How are you?
Good. Nice. Sun is trying to peek out there, which is always nice to see.
Yeah, trying. Trying is the operative word. Boy, I tell you, it does its best.
Excellent. Well, we don't live in Newfoundland and Labrador for the weather, that's for sure.
No.
We live here for the beautiful people that we all love to represent, and that's part of the reason why I was calling here today, Brian.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to, first of all, congratulate the VOCM Cares Foundation as well as the Single Parents Association for a fantastic event that we had the pleasure of attending last Friday with the Block the Bus event at the Village Mall.
Yes, sir.
It was a great event. A lot of people coming by, and they do some great work.
Oh, absolutely. And the cooperation and that kind of coordination, it's just par for the course. And, it's now almost mid-August. So, the thoughts of going shopping for school supplies is nervous times for a lot of people. No question about it.
Absolutely. The cost of living is went up significantly over the last 12 to 14 months for sure. We've seen that. We've seen some significant amount of people reach out to us as the opposition talking about that, and that's sort of some of the reasons why we made some of the changes, announcements we were looking at doing. Starting this September, we were going to be covering the school supplies for all kindergarten to grade 6 students, and then expanding that over the next year to even more students, as well as a school lunch program. We were expanding that to grade 9, from K to grade 9 as well, which was going to be successful and hopefully ease some of the burden that families were facing based on these big cost of living increases.
Absolutely. I think it was just over a year ago, Bernie, I was at a news conference with you and Spanel, the Single Parents Association Newfoundland and Labrador, at their headquarters when you were the Liberals. This was in the run-up to the election, but the new back-to-school benefit that your government had proposed, and actually, I think at the time, that money was going, I think it was $100 for every school-age child in a family that was on income support. Is that I think.
Absolutely, you hit it right at the park on that one, Brian.
I was there, so
I
was testing my memory. But go ahead.
So and you obviously paid attention very well, which is excellent. Nice to see on that. But we want to expand it even further, Brian. In the last election campaign, we campaigned that starting this September, just a few weeks from now, we were going to be coming forward with a plan to pay for all the school supplies for children, kindergarten to grade 6, which would have been a help for some parents, for all parents. I know I've got 2 little ones in that age range, and I know it's time consuming to go around and get that. And I would like to send kudos to the teachers and the NLTA. They do fantastic work in this too. Teachers shouldn't be burdened with, trying to bring up some school supplies, extra school supplies to help kids. They do that, and that's not something they should be burdened with. So we were trying to make that a little bit easier. And I call on the government to do that. We've had significant increases in oil revenues to the province. I mean, I think they budgeted $79 or so a barrel, and today it's 84.5 US a barrel. So there is some money that's coming into the Treasury that should be passed out to the people of the province in ways like this to help ease that burden of the cost of living, because much of that cost of living is based on fuel consumption and the fact that those costs have gone up.
For everything. And, I mentioned this in the wake of Finance Minister Pardy's comments there about a month ago, or maybe 3 weeks ago or so, where he said, we will roll out affordability measures in the fall. And my just first reaction then, well, what's to wait? We're not going to enrich ourselves to that extent. I mean, sign an MOU or whatever. It's not going to turn around that quick. And people need it not in the fall. They need it now to be able to prepare for the fall.
Well, I mean, this is one measure that wouldn't take a lot of money, but it would be impactful for the parents at this point when they're buying these school supplies. I think it was a $3 million ask to put this in place, and I'd like to see those affordability measures start right away. And I know the people that are calling our offices each and every day would like those to start right away. I mean, PEI did this with great success. Anything we can do to ease the burden of families that are trying to get to school, supplies back for their children, it will be good, and the stress associated with that for those that are struggling, and there's so many more that are. We've put a lot of things in place over the last year for education. I mean, we've constructed some new schools. We've brought in $10 a day daycare right across the board. I know there's been hiccups, but there's significant success, and a lot of children are benefiting from that. We put 400 new educators into the system last year. I just like the finance minister to get on with the announcements that he's going to be doing for affordability. Every day he's waiting on these affordability measures. It's another day that people are paying more for some good and services that they need.
Yeah, it's just, again, and, you've heard me, and I know others I'm trying to keep it as unpartisan as politics and remove the politics from everything. In a perfect world, an incoming government would look at something that the previous government did, say, you know what, that was pretty good, we're going to adopt it. And we're not going to waste time because it was doing something in the moment for people. And again, like I said, this isn't just a credit to you, it's not just credit to the Tories. I just want to be able to remove all of that from it and sort of, take a humble approach and say, yeah, that was a good idea. And even call you up and say, where did it come from? Maybe we'll do it, maybe we won't. Maybe they'll have a version of it, I don't know. But, this whole idea of, new government comes in, we're going to do our own thing, and there were good policies in the past, but you can't adopt them because then they'll be linked to the other government, and then you're giving them credit. And that's the mentality. Nobody can tell me any different. So, look, the time is... I
read a great quote.
Yeah, go ahead.
I read a great quote before, Brian, that says you should never really worry about who gets the credit for a good decision. I think it's really important that we do that. Every government, regardless of party stripe, should look at what the previous government did and stand on the shoulders of the people that came before them. Not everything we did was excellent. I know that. We would do things. We would make changes. That's why you put pilot programs in place, so you can look at the benefits that came from that program and if it was exactly what you wanted to achieve. So you make those little little changes, those nuances to make it open for more people to avail of those services. That's what we do. And I just encourage the government to move on those to help address the rising cost of living. We tried this in the House of Assembly by lowering the gas price with one of the levers that we had in the House of Assembly to ask them to do that. They said there's lots of other levers they're going to pull. We didn't see any of those being pulled in budget 2026, 2027. Some were there, but we need more. People are asking for some more. And I think based on the oil prices and the increased capacity that they're doing, I think there's an opportunity there to pass on some of those savings to the people that are impacted the most.
And as you said, no governments are perfect. And we know, God, the Auditor General has had a field day with your government in the past few years. I'm sorry, but call a spade a spade. There's been a lot of work done there, a lot of criticism of operations, whether it's the current report that from the Child and Youth Advocate involving these 2 foster kids in foster care that were abused. So let's call a spade, but fix the things that are not right with the recommendations that are given and adopt the things that were working, period.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And when recommendations come in, especially with kids in care, we have to do everything we can to ensure that those recommendations are adopted so that this never happens again. It makes me very disappointed and upset that has occurred in any time frame, whether it was on our watch or theirs, it doesn't matter. 2 children were impacted that should never have been impacted. I know that system quite well, and it brings a tear for sure. And I'm very disappointed to see that would have occurred.
Yeah. You and me both. Bernie, look, I appreciate the call today. We just need to work together, man. It's just the time and money and energy wasted on bickering at each other and, doing ATIP requests, wasting our time. And look, as public, we all need to be informed of the public purse and what's happening with it. But in some of these things, whether, for example, some of the communications money that's been spent just recently, I don't know if it'll bear fruit. Maybe some of all governments do this. They spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on communications plans or external consultants or advertising to roll out a big announcement like an MOU for Churchill Falls. And some of those things, when they don't come to fruition, sure, you can go back and rip them for it. But some of these other things, it remains to be seen whether or not $200,000 for this, that, or the other thing would pay off in the long run. Those are calculations that are made by the bean counters, but ultimately you view it down the road as to whether or not that was a good investment. And some of the more recent spending, it's hard to know right now. So I'm not going to go off on that other than to say it'd be nice if governments came out and said, we did spend this money, instead of forcing the opposition to go down the road of ATIP requests and trying to find out what's been hidden or not talked about and then have a gotcha moment, which is what it looks like, but it's just an attempt to inform the public, Sorry, my rant.
Yeah, no, and all I can say is thanks for the opportunity, but I do want to say a big thank you to the Single Parent Association, who's done some fantastic work in this area. They've shone some good light on this. I've had the pleasure of, they happen to be in my district and do great work right across our province, but they do excellent work, and I encourage people that need the support from the Single Parent Association reach out, and I encourage the government to support them where they can, because I know by supporting organizations such as Single Parent Association and many others that do great work, they can stretch a dollar far greater than the government can, and I just encourage them to look at those options where they can support where it makes sense to.
Yeah, give to your food bank. They stretch a dollar like nobody else, eh?
Absolutely.
Yep.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's get to line number 1. And William, you're on the air.
Hi, my name is William, and I'm calling. I was in St. Clair's Hospital for 14 days. I got discharged. My family was sitting, my 2 daughter and son was sitting there, and the doctor was just like, I was saying I didn't feel ready to leave, and he said, well, you did stairs, you did this, you did that, you did something else, so, we have no reason to keep you here and take out bed. So they left me. My wife and I were married on the 2nd of August for 52 years, and just before all this happened, we separated.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I'm left out with nowhere to live. Okay? They sent me to somewhere on Patrick Street for supportive living. And but I didn't know nothing about it. So I ended up going up to the housing. I talked to the guy, Christopher, and like I'm using a walker. I'm here at my son's now, staying in my granddaughter's bed, which makes me feel so uncomfortable. But he's got like 15 steps going upstairs, and it's so hard for me to do.
William, why were you at St. Clair's in the first place? Sorry, why were you in there?
Our marriage split on a Thursday, I think it was. And Monday night, I overdosed. And I think that's some of the reason I didn't get, like, there was no sympathy given to me because I overdosed.
Well, I mean, your entire situation should be your condition, right? That should be all considered in a perfect system, not just any kind of physical issue, but if you're in there and you're going through things on top of that, least of which a separation, we can only imagine. So, and what might lead, you know.
I was on life support for 4 days. I woke up disappointed that I woke up, but I said, hey, I'm awake. Let's make the best of this. I've been trying to get out of community support worker to do an assessment. Housing said I am not suitable to go into supportive living, or not supportive living, but into a bed that they provide for homeless people.
Right,
okay?
Understood, yes.
And he said, you know, you can't go in there with a walker and get showered and all these things. You can't do it. So you're going to have to get over to this worker and try to get something done. I've been trying to reach her, no answer. I called my member, and she did what she could. At the end of the day, she came back with the same phone number that I've been leaving messages with all along.
And where was that phone number? Like, where are you calling when you call that number?
I'm calling Community Support Program.
Okay. Have you been in touch with the Coalition of Persons with Disabilities even?
No.
I mean, they're an advocacy group for people with a disability, and it doesn't these days. It's more like a cross disability, really, because there are different types of disabilities these days. Obviously, it's not just an inability to walk or do odd jobs or just do anything physical, because mental plays into it too. And clearly, that's also an issue for you at this point. I would suggest, if you haven't gone there. And even if that isn't specifically the organization that can help you in the immediate term, they will know exactly all the resources that are available to someone in your situation.
Where are they located to?
Well, I can give you a phone number, which is probably the easiest thing, just off the top, 722-7011.
Okay. I've been talking and working with seniors in L.
I didn't want to ask your age, so I wasn't sure if we were in that territory. But if you've been in touch with the Seniors Advocate or Seniors NL as well, absolutely.
I'm 71 years old.
Okay, that's a hard thing, William. But you're not alone. I know people in your situation. I really do.
My heart's broken, buddy.
Yeah, listen, man. I can only imagine. How long were you together, if you don't mind me asking you, Willem? Because sometimes it's really important to talk about these things.
August the 2nd, we were married 52 years.
52 years. And look, I'm not going to get into any of the reasons, but after 52 years, no matter what the reason, that's a loss. That's a massive loss to your life, to whatever partnership you had. And I can't imagine, but I do know others in your situation, and there's only two choices you really have, right? To have the strength to reach out, or throw your hands up. And look, the situation you're in now at St. Clair's, let's just talk about the immediate term. We know beds are at a premium, so you can appreciate what the staff are up against.
Yes. I understand that.
And it's not like they have lack of sympathy or lack of empathy for you. I can guarantee it. I mean, in the back of their minds, they're spewing the official line of what they can say to you and what's available. But I can guarantee you their hearts are breaking for you too. and they have other people, and then they, it's a very individualistic and specific circumstance that you have. Have they given you, so are you at St. Clair's now?
No, I'm at my son's now, taking up my granddaughter's bed that I feel so uncomfortable about.
No,
she's on the couch, and it's terrible.
How old is your granddaughter, if you don't mind me asking?
She's 23 years old. She's a nurse, and she's, like having to sleep on the couch. That's last Monday.
I will bet you this. I'll bet you as a nurse and a 23-year-old grown adult, I will bet you that she will be the first to say for you not to worry about how she's feeling, because her papa's in a tough spot for whatever reason, and I'm sure that's the last thing she wants you worrying about at this point, because family is family, and as I said to Barbara earlier, pardon?
She does say that.
Yeah, I absolutely she would. I mean, what are you going to say? And you may think, okay, she's just saying it to make me feel better, and actually, I know what it does. It plays on your mind. I mean, my granddaughter, but look what I've become. But it's not just you, and it's not your fault alone, no matter what the circumstances. I don't know the whole workup, but it takes two to tango in any realm of society today. So the first thing is to stop beating yourself up over it, and that's easy for me to say, but you know what I'm saying, William. I don't want to get...
Well, I will say that our marriage breakup had nothing to do with my wife. It's all my problem.
Well, and still, your problem, whatever it is, it's a problem. And, that's it.
A big problem.
Yeah, and everybody appreciates it. And the fact that you have those other issues, I can guarantee you it's good to have family, because I know Barbara there was saying that she has 3 sons that she doesn't believe care. I'm sure they do. But she's in a hard place herself, so.
That's right.
People love you more than you think sometimes.
Yeah.
William, only because of the time, I'm at least you have a roof there now, and you're with family, and they will always care for you no matter what they think or say in the short term. Unfortunately, it's too late in life. We tell each other how much we really care about each other, and that happens every day. We lose people too soon. But look, I wish you nothing but the best, and whatever you can do, let me know if you have any luck with the Coalition of Persons with Disabilities or any other movement on this, and you're able to find some housing. And so you don't have to feel that kind of guilt over taking up your granddaughter's bed.
Thank you, Brian.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
As promised and introduced, the Mayor of St. John's, Danny Breen, you're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Brian. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Love it when this balmy, splitting the rocks Sunday morning hits us, and it's not really doing that at all. How you making it through the RDF these days?
Well, it hasn't been great. I got to be honest with you. It's, the weather hasn't been great, but you got to roll with the punches and go and make the best out of it. And I see that people around town are getting around, and they're attending various events, just like the Folk Festival the weekend. And there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. That's par for the course, right?
Yeah.
Danny, so a couple of things on Vine. So first of all, yes, I see that the landmark sign, which, it's kind of always been, I know you know that it's been a little bit of a BMI. I'm always trying to figure out what's going on with that St. John's sign. And I know last week you announced that you are installing it temporarily next to, between City Hall and the and Mary Brown Centre, I guess, where the Cauldron was, for the Canada Games?
Yeah, that's where it's going to be installed on a temporary basis while we do the public engagement. So, Brian, when we decide to do the public engagement to get some feedback on the appropriate location for it, we felt it better that if we were able to install it somewhere so people could actually see the sign, see how it works, see what's involved in it, and see why some of the things that we laid out as qualities that we wanted to see in the space where it could be located are important. So we've done that. I expect in the next couple of days it will be installed there, and and people can begin to make their comments on our Engage page.
Yeah, no, I agree that people need to see it in context, intangibly. Here's what it looks like. Here's how big it really is. When people have ideas where it should go, that'll factor in. It could eliminate some of those potential sites that some people were floating because. So and where else? It is pretty much the focal point next to City Hall for now. That I have my preferences, but that's besides the point. I guess, did you ever think it would be this, contentious?
No, I didn't think it would be. You know, these signs are common across the country and beyond the country. I thought that when our staff looked at it, we have money allocated in our tourism budget and marketing budget to make expenditures like this, and they felt that it was in conjunction with talking to other partners like Destination St. John's. That is something that would be positive for the city and positive for the tourist experience. If you look at the location where it's going, it does. On a temporary basis, it does cover some of the issues that we have. So first of all, you have to have Wi-Fi capabilities to do the programming there. Has to be a level of security which is provided as it's between Mall 1, Mary Brown Centre and City Hall. Has to be in a safe area for tourists, and the cauldron was there, never presented any issues. The lay-by to Mary Brown Centre is there, but we still need to see how it works there. Mary Brown Centre is very busy, so we've got to see how all that works. But one of the things that's important around there is that this thing really attracts people who are attending conferences and events. So with the many conventions that we have at the convention center and with the events at Mary Brown Center, it'll be interesting to see how it's received.
Yeah, tourists love to have a picture with the, you're trying to show where you are. Nothing like that. Nothing like a sign that spells out the name of the city behind you. So,
it's like a digital passport now.
Absolutely, and not only that, like for tourism, the more that's shared and everything. I mean, it's it's beautiful to see the Narrows and all the rest of it, but a sign that says where you are doesn't go astray either. Look, Daniel, I know there's other important things. I just want to, I'd be remiss. So you may have seen, I'm not sure if you've seen Todd Perrin's post on the weekend, and it was sort of picked up by Darren Halloran at Always in Vogue, of course, two well-known business owners downtown. And I don't know if this is a bit of the frustration with the weather, but because obviously it takes away, the numbers on Water Street and into downtown if the street is blocked off and then there's weather on top of it. And so there's a suggestion there that, they've been they're beholden to the weather, and they've sort of been forced in this situation where they have to shoulder all the good and the bad with it, while the city just, makes the policy and sort of washes its hands. I don't know if you've seen the commentary. If you haven't, I appreciate if you're not prepared to comment on it, but I know that frustration existed before that anyway.
Yeah, it does exist, and I can tell you, if anybody thinks that there's unanimity about having that pedestrian mall downtown, they are sadly mistaken.
You know it well, too.
Since we first tried that in 2020, this has been, each year, there's been a discussion over the footprint, over the length of the season that we have it there. And what we've tried to do is we've tried to accommodate everybody's interests in this. I think the weather does play a part of it. Look, if the weather is not great, people are not going to be down in the pedestrian mall as much as they were, say, last year when the weather was a lot better. And that's just natural. And sometimes some businesses do better in the pedestrian mall than other businesses. That's a part of it as well. What we found is that we've heard from residents and we've heard from tourists coming into the city that they really like the pedestrian mall. They think it's a great addition to the city. It has a community aspect to it. It has a place where a community can gather and people can go there, and but every year we do a review. Every year we hear the feedback coming back. The downtown businesses have never been all in favor of this or all against it. It's really a mixed bag.
Yep.
But we're trying to find that balance, and weather is a big part of it.
Yeah, and you mentioned the feedback. You solicit feedback from everybody. The complaint I've heard, of course, from these businesses, from Darren, and from Todd as well, is that it's just not heeded. It's not put into practice. That there's lots of asks for engagement on the engagement page and lots of requests for comments and suggestions, but they feel they're not being heard.
Well, I can guarantee you they're being heard, and I can guarantee you that our staff go through great pains to look at the different options and look at the ways that we can do it. So I really, truly do not buy that. I think that when you do engagement, just because you're not doing what somebody wants doesn't mean that it wasn't considered and it wasn't heard. We have to find a way to make this work. Some things we've been able to do. The programming is an issue. We've done some great programming down there. We've added some new concepts there, like the markets. We've done things like that. There's entertainers playing there. You incorporate the Buskers Festival, but we can't do everything for everybody here. We have to find that balance, and I think it's a work in progress. Every year we fine-tune it a bit more. We do something else and try to make it work. So I think that we will sit down again when the season is finished. We'll take the information. We'll do some further engagement. Take the recommendations from people and see what kind of fine-tuning we can make for the next season, or if we continue with it. Because I know one thing in this, whatever we do, there's going to be somebody that's not going to like it, and what we're left with is try to make it work.
Yep. Two things, please, to add to the list: the e-bikes and e-scooters, as well as I'll say panhandlers, for lack of a better word, because I've myself have had some pretty uncomfortable run-ins with people down there that are just too persistent for anyone's liking, especially when you're there with tourists or young kids and that sort of thing. So a couple of things for sure, as you said, as it continues to be fine-tuned over time.
Right. So first of all, the e-bikes and e-scooters, we're now waiting. That's a really gray area right now, as they're not covered under the Highway Traffic Act. The province just announced a review of the Highway Traffic Act to consider e-bikes and scooters in that. So we really have to wait for that to be completed before we can. And this is not just an issue in the pedestrian.
No.
It's on the trails. Yeah. It's all over the city. The second part about the aggressive panhandling, and I've been a proponent of this for a long time, is we really need to have foot patrols on Water Street and other places in the city. I'm
more than just security, or just strictly RNC?
More than security. I think when I just wrote a letter to the Minister of Justice last week, encouraging and wondering where the auxiliary police officers stands. I think there's a need for an auxiliary police force in the city. It gives the ability to have more policing and security. We have security in the pedestrian law, but it's just not the same as having police officers in uniform. And quite frankly, Brian, you go to any city across the country and you see police officers in uniform on the streets. I was in Edmonton on business a little while ago, and the auxiliary police officers just about on every corner there. And they're helping people who need help, and they're also providing that level of confidence in people who are in the downtown area.
Yep, absolutely, especially where there are large gatherings these days, these times, and times that we're living in. Danny Breen, Mayor of St. John's, I really appreciate the time today. I know you're not a busy man, but thanks again for making time, and a lot of topics there. I appreciate all your comments and responses to all of them. Thanks again for this.
Anytime, Brian. Thanks very much.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
And let's go to line number 5. And Sandra, you're on the air.
Oh, hi, Brian.
Good morning.
First of all, I was listening to Barbara in Arnold's Cove, is it?
Yes.
And her problem with home care, and I felt so bad. I'm hoping that someone will be able to help her.
So do I. And we're doing our best.
Well, I know you always do. But, Brian, I want to talk about the development of Pleasantville. Mm-hmm. Concerning the construction that's taking place now across the street from 77 Charter.
Oh, so this is the Canada Lands, the federal 1,000 homes, I think, affordable homes? Yes. Okay, sure, go right ahead. Backing right onto the old Ballyhaley Golf Course, I think.
It is. It's all that area. It's down from Charter Avenue, goes right through to the Ballyhaley residence, where there's a lot of space. And I agree 100% that we do need more affordable housing units. I live in one of the units. I've been here since it opened, and it's lovely, and I'm grateful to be here. But my concern is with the construction. I mean, the new building, the new affordable housing building, is directly across the street from where I live at 77, and there will be 3 apartment buildings. Once this is built, there will be 3 apartment buildings, including mine, a large condominium building directly behind the new building, a long halfway house along the other side of it, and another long building to the side of the halfway house. I mean, this puts 6 buildings in an area. If you have a look, the area looks to me to be less than a quarter of a mile. I mean, they're all just getting crammed in there, and on what is a quiet residential street. I mean, and noise. You expect noise from construction. I mean, we have to put up with it, right? But all I'll say is you do not know noise until you hear an industrial pneumatic jackhammer going days on end into rock and concrete only yards from your window. I mean, it's hard. But as I said, we need more affordable housing. I know that. But in this particular instance, there are too many buildings now in too small a space. And I think that's making Pleasantville very unpleasantville, you know.
No, I understand. It's in that term, in that context, it's kind of ironic, especially for what you're going through. But you're right. And look, everybody's crying out. Look, we're crying out for housing, and we talk about the ills of society. The persons with the Coalition of Persons with Disabilities, 1,000% behind this. Of course, it'll provide accessible housing as well. So it's hard to know how to do this without making noise and upsetting people. Were you did you take in any of the open houses and the public consultation?
I went at the meeting and looked at the plans they had and whatnot, and there's some wonderful things happening, but
do you feel
like I said, this particular instance is not all the developments, all the buildings. It's just this particular one that's been put in. I won't say squeezed in, but put in where there's a lot of other buildings. And
shoehorned.
I haven't counted the standalone houses. It's just, in this area, it's just too much. And along with this construction across the street from the 77, you look just down the road on Churchill Avenue, there's 2 huge buildings. I think they might be affordable housing, but I'm not sure. But the noise that goes on from that, plus the one across the street from me, I mean, it's like stereophonic bracket, right? But, I mean, we're getting used to that, or at least I am now. I can leave the apartment. And it's not the noise, as I say, it's the number of buildings in this small particular area of Charter Avenue.
The density.
So, yeah, exactly, the density. So... Yeah, I don't know what the answer is.
I guess the question, I mean, they can prepare you as best you can, and as you said, you attended the open houses, and you kind of had an idea what was coming. I was thinking the noise might be, it's regular hours, right? It doesn't start before 7, and it doesn't go any later than the hours it's supposed to. But I just wonder, do you think you were, properly prepared for what's going on now and what's coming?
Well, we were, in the sense that there was a meeting and the development plans were there for people to see. I don't know how many people went. There was a fair number there the evening I went.
Yeah.
But I think they could have done a bit more media. Maybe taking the camera in and showing this. I think this is the first of the buildings, the affordable housing buildings anyway, that are being built. And if they had brought in some media and shown the structure and what was going on, you'd get a better idea of the density of buildings in this particular area. And I haven't even counted the standalone housings that I've had. So, I mean, as I'm looking out my window now, they've stopped for a break, coffee break, so it's good.
That's why we can hear each other.
Probably so.
I don't mean to laugh about it, but I guess if you don't laugh, you could cry, I suppose.
Oh, you absolutely. But across that I'm looking at now, there's a big stand of pine trees, maybe 30 or 40 pine trees, and all I'm doing, I'm hoping, I saw some surveyors beyond those trees looking around, and I said, oh, please don't let them take our trees, you know.
Well, and that's the next
Anyway.
thing. Yeah. Sandra, look, I appreciate you bringing it to the attention, and I'm sure there are other residents there too. Again, as I just said, some of this, we live with short-term pain for long-term gain. Hopefully it's shorter. It feels shorter than it does right now for you.
That's right, Brian. All right, well, thank you for your time.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Line number 6. Okay, let's go to line number 6. And Dave, you're on the air.
How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, boy. I'm calling you from New Harbour here on Thorns Road.
Yes, sir.
We got a big, serious problem here with water, and we got no water. And there's, I think, 16, 17 families here, and we're all seniors. Now, we got a lot of sick people on this road. We got no water. There's people here got bags undersized. There's people here on dialysis. There's people here, all kinds of sick people. And we got no water, and we got to drag water every day for a bath or try to get cleaned up, and it was ridiculous. So we got nobody to help us.
How long have you been without water? Period.
This is 3 weeks so far.
And what's the reason? What do you understand is the reason for that?
Well, the reason is the well is either gone dry, or we got a major leak that we can't find, or something. We don't know really what's wrong, but he says the well is gone dry. The well has been there for 45 years, and we had this well put ourselves,
mm-hmm.
and we looked after and maintained our well all these years. But now we're all seniors, and we're old and crippled up, and here we are now, stuck here now with no water, and nobody seems to want to help us, you know.
Well, is there any communication with the local service district, is it?
We got a local service district, here, but I mean, what I'm trying to say is, it takes so long to get something done. Now, we got an assessment fellow coming out this week to look at the well, but that's assessment. Now, that's only somebody going to look at the well. It's going to take months before we get water, or what's going to happen, you know. I mean, we need water now, you know. Clearly.
So what have you, tell me again, what have you been doing for water in the past 3 weeks and for people?
We've been dragging water from down to the plant up here in buckets, and everybody here is the same thing. Now, what gets me here right now is we got a main water line coming down to our main road in New Harbour. We're about, I say, 700 feet from the main line on the main road, and the road just branches off, right? Now, the government won't let us hook onto that. Although there's 2 or 3 families that's hooked into it, but they won't allow us to hook into it. You know, it don't make sense, but and right now I don't know what it's going to cost. I mean, we're only living, all these pensioners, living on a bit of money, and we need water, we need a well, or we need something, you know, but nobody seemed to do anything about it.
Who's your MHA out that way, Dave?
Welsh. What's her name, Welsh?
Sherry Gammon Welsh.
Gammon Welsh or something like that, yeah.
Sherry Gammon Welsh.
Well, we've been talking to her, too. But like I said, we sent messages to her, and we're talking to her, but she don't seem like how quick is she going to get something done? You know what I mean?
Well, you know what? It might not get done, but don't you want, look, more than anything, communication is key. If you had an idea what was going on, and you could at least understand what's happening, and it might not give you water out of your tap right away, but at least you understand what's happening. I mean, that goes a long way, and then you have timelines, and then you have communication, and you know somebody is listening. And that's right, and cares. And when you get nothing, I mean, you know.
Get anything to the government right now. It takes so long to get everything done, and you got to have meetings about this and meetings about that. But meantime, we're still out of water, you know, and it's hard here for us. Because I mean, like yourself, I'm getting up in age. I can't do much, and my wife is on dialysis, and you know, and there's people here that's crippled up, and So we got to take a truck and go out and pick up a few gallons of water and bring back to the house, and it's hard. You know?
Yeah.
But
are you,
I don't know.
Are you forced to do that yourself, or is there any assistance?
I'm forced to do that myself, and I got to do it because I got nobody to do that. I got to do it myself, and not only me, but a good many more, all of them.
And as you said, mostly seniors.
All seniors. There's only, I think, there's 3 families that's not seniors. The rest of them is all seniors. You know?
Yeah, well, look, the best, under circumstances, we all know how this works, Dave. People are listening. Yeah. The powers that be are listening. This is the first, really, I've heard anything specific about this, and I apologize for that, unless somebody's called before. I may have missed it. But the Minister, Chris Tibbs, of course, very responsive. He has been on this program, Minister of Municipal and Community Affairs, or whether it can go to service. No, it wouldn't go to service, and I'm sure it's Community Affairs. But even someone with the local service district, do you deal with anyone in that realm? In that?
Well, we got a community, what's the name here, as LSD or whatever you call it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, local service district. And
we got there, but I mean, they're not in no rush to help us either. You know what I mean?
But do you have any communication from them? Has anyone gone door to door and said, "Here's the situation. Here's how long it's going to take. Here's what the problem is"?
Well, we've had meetings about it, right?
When was the last one you had?
We had a meeting there about, I don't know, 2 weeks ago maybe.
And what did you get out of that?
Well, that's the service crowd. They were supposed to look into it and see what they can do, right? But like I said, there's nothing being done anyway. There's nothing. I mean, we can't keep on going. And here's winter coming on now, and you know what we're supposed to do?
Yeah.
You know, it's a serious situation. We need water. We got to have water. You know?
Well, it's on the radar, clearly, because you just had a meeting. So only because of the time on the clock, we'll put in the usual requests and see if we can get some clarity and just get an answer, if nothing else. It may not bring you water tonight, but at least you'll know what's going on and a timeline and what you need to do to prepare.
That's right, exactly.
Especially, as you said, with the winter coming on. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it, and we'll look into it as well.
All right, buddy.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
And let's go right away first to Billy. You're on the air. Sorry about the wait. Thanks for hanging in there. You're on the air.
Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm calling about the health sciences, the emergency room, and I'm calling about my brother. He's still in the hospital right now.
You mean the new,
for his sake.
The new and expanded emergency department?
Well, it wasn't expanded on Friday.
Okay. Gotcha.
It was still the same emergency room I remember walking into before.
Okay.
So my brother had an appointment with MUN cardiac medicine Friday morning at 8:30, and leaving the hospital, they ordered some blood, so that's fine. So we got in our car, came back to Harbour Main, got a call from medicine again saying, "It's an emergency, you have to come back to the hospital." His hemoglobin had dropped to 64. My voice is a little shaky. I'm nervous.
It's okay. Take your time.
Before.
Absolutely, Bill. Go ahead.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So anyway, we got back to the hospital and got into triage. And the first thing they said, the triage nurse said she couldn't believe he was even vertical because he was his hemoglobin hadn't been so low. And she said it'll only be a few minutes for a bed to go back out into the waiting room. And of course, I kept getting told that. And he wasn't well at all. He couldn't even sit up. I tried putting a wheelchair on his legs, trying to get him comfortable, asked for a pillow, but no, they don't give out pillows at the health sciences emergency room. And so he had to get down. Flat down. And
flat down as in lie down?
Lie down on the floor.
On the floor.
Still no pillow offered. Still no one come out to say, "How are you? Are you all right, sir?" Nothing like that. The nurse from the triage swung her door open and said, "What do you think you're doing?" That was the response he got. And he couldn't get up. I wasn't letting her take him up.
What did you say when she asked what he's doing?
Well, I said, "You know what's wrong with him. He needs a bed. He needs to lie down." So this is a few hours later, on the floor, off the floor, on the floor, off the floor. She said, "We're waiting on a bed." It's always, every time they spoke to us, it was as a few more minutes, a few more minutes, a few more minutes. 5, 6, 7, 8 hours go by. I even at one point went up to her and I said, I'm going to take him out of here. I'm going to go up Kenmount Road and I'm going to call an ambulance just so he could lie down. And she told me, the triage nurse told me that because you have registered here, if you go up Kenmount Road and call an ambulance, they will not come for you. They will not take your call. They won't come for you. So I never knew anything like that exists. If you call 911 better adhere. So we just kept waiting and waiting, and he finally got in 8 hours later, and 2 days now on blood transfusions. And but it's just it wasn't just us. Like it was a nightmare there. Like an elderly couple had already been in to see the doctor, and I mean like elderly, like in their 80s, and the gentleman was in a wheelchair. They waited 5 hours for a prescription that they never got, and they had to leave. And the lady went up and said, "We have to go. We can't take this anymore." And all they said was, "Okay. Never hang on a second now. Go get your friggin' prescription." Like, it's ridiculous what happened out there on Friday.
You know, and I'm hearing
ridiculous.
I'm getting both of it, right? I get what you're saying, and then I have a caller in the queue who wants to send out a bouquet to the health sciences. So, and here's the problem, right, Billy? Like, every case is different. That's the first thing. The second thing is we've talked, and Minister Lil Evans, the health minister, talked about it, you know, and rolling out the new emergency room and the new facility, and it's going to make things smoother and give people more space, and the new ambulance garage there that they have cover now, sheltered, where they can offload. And all those things are great. But, of course, the biggest question asked at that point was, what about the staffing? Like, it's great to have the brick and mortar and the facility, but the staffing. And I know the question was asked, and she rest assured that, you know, they're on it and they're doing their best for recruitment and retention. We know it's still an issue, and I have no doubt that this is born out of frustration with the staff as well. Because, as I've said before...
I got no doubt, yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, that kind of a personality has nothing to do with nursing. And I know I put this on Facebook, and I got like over 2,000 likes and shares and comments on it. And the majority of people like sending best wishes, and of course there was people that were calling me names.
Well, this is what you do when you interact, when you engage the Facebook community. You got to be ready for that. You're going to get everything.
Oh yeah, and I don't care about that.
Okay.
But the majority of people got the same sort of story. You know, like, had my father there, had my mother there, I was there, and, you know, just left and had to leave because they couldn't take it anymore.
But you're going to get the similar story, right? I mean, you got to remember that the people who are reading that relates to them, so you're going to get those stories. And there are good stories out there, too, and you cannot judge how the system is working by Facebook. I'm just going to say that blatantly. I mean, look, Facebook, I got an email here. It says there's a woman, she's saying, I was barred from Facebook. Where did it go? Just right now. She just said, I used Facebook and Messenger on July 5th. I got locked out of both for 20 days. They could not find anything on my page. I got locked out of my Messenger. I can receive, but I can't respond. They want me to send an official government ID. To prove who I am. But she did say here, I won't send it. Why do they need that? I'm like, you know, we just have to be so wary. Facebook is not an official source of information, period.
No, and I wasn't looking for information. In the moment, like I was in the emergency room when I sent that.
Yeah, and you're going to get...
a frustration, basically. It's like, look, this is what's going on at this hospital.
Yep. And you're going to get that when you post a negative or a critical comment about the service that you got. More often than not, you're going to get that response, as opposed to people who are going to challenge it. So you got to take that in stride too, with the context and the actual, you know, the broader range of people who are reading it. Because look, more than anything, we know Facebook is more negative than it is positive. Period. Again, full stop.
Yes.
So, you know, when you're going through stuff like that, it's not always the best place to go. Like, I advise anybody not to, you know, to keep your private issues private. Your situation is completely different than anyone else. Your metabolism, your patients, your family, what they're going through, what their medical history is. And your incident that night could have just been anything. who knows what that staffer, and I'm just going, but clearly I only have one side of the story. I don't doubt what you're saying, but who knows what they were going through, either personally, professionally. It's just so hard to judge anybody in the moment, about what they're going through. And I know you did not get satisfaction, and when you're there and he wants to lie down and you're told bluntly not to, that's not going to go over well. There's no question. But you know what I'm saying, though? It's these one-offs. I mean, we have good stories. I'm going to hear one in a minute. It's the Facebook thing that gets me. It's a pile-on, mentality.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm not calling about Facebook.
No, I understand.
I'm calling about the emergency unit. I went out there a few months ago with another brother who had put a pacemaker in 3 days prior, and his whole body was in spasms, and he waited 12 hours. No one came out to see if he was fine. Not even coming out. This is what I'm talking about. I don't give a goddamn about Facebook. I can drop my Facebook page tomorrow if I want to. I don't care about it.
I know. It exacerbates it, right?
Social. It is the way to get things out there, though.
It is.
And all the responses of people, like if I kept it quiet and just went to the relations, like the complaints relations at the Health Sciences Centre, which we have done, or call the Premier's office, which we have done, and call the Minister of Health, which we have done. I mean, that's all under their roof then.
It is.
Who's going to know? Where do you go? I don't have time for this. That's not my job.
I just think you exacerbate the problem when you go to social media. That's my point. And you really want to get a solution here, as opposed to gathering the masses who really know nothing about you or your family, but are just there are people just piling on, and they'll give you good and bad reaction, which can either make you more upset or less upset.
Yeah, but I'm trying to tell you that didn't bother me.
It sounds like it did.
I don't care if it's a good reaction.
It sounds like it did.
No, it does not sound like I only said once that I put it on Facebook, and I got the comments that I got. Trying to say that the comments were that other people are getting treated like this.
Sure, and we know they are.
I don't want to make this about Facebook and about AI or whatever is going on with that stuff, because I don't know what's going on with it.
Understood. Yep.
You know what I mean?
I do. Let's talk about him.
I'll let you go and go get someone give their bouquet to their shiny new entrant when if the staff and our government, I'm not talking about the staff, I'm talking about our government, if indeed everything was implemented properly, we could do this in a tent. We don't need
is there any reason that you have to swear like that on open line? Pardon?
I didn't mean to. I apologize.
Okay. I know you're upset, and there's no question. Yeah. And I do want to get it back to the person you were talking about in the beginning. So it's loud and clear.
That's what it was all about.
I understand.
That nobody came out. That's all I call for.
I understand.
And it turned into Facebook. Anyway, it's out there now. Everybody knows. I apologize for cursing. I am a huge cursor, and that only one popped out of me. I apologize for that. I just wanted to make the public aware that, we're being treated like people can be treated this way.
Absolutely.
It's sad.
No,
it's so heartbreakingly sad is unbelievable.
8 and 12 hours for seniors and anyone, and not being able to...
Anyone.
Yep, I understand.
If you're there lying on the floor and you look like you're going to die, well, someone should attend to you.
No argument here at all, Billy.
Yeah. Okay, you take care.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go right to line number 6, and Colin, you're on the air.
Good morning, sir. Happy Monday. How are you today?
Trying to be happy, but boy, I tell you, there's some people going through some rough stuff, man. So there it is. Happy as can be in the cloudy dreariness, but I'm going to try to stay positive. I am.
That's what counts. Attitude is everything too, right?
It is. And you're going to talk about artificial intelligence, and holy moly. Let's do it, Colin.
Yeah, last week... there was a story I read in the New York Times, and they were in other outlets too, but I read this out of the Times, that a research group has developed a completely novel virus through an AI platform, one that doesn't exist in nature. They use this to deal with E. coli, multi-drug resistant forms of E. coli. E. coli, as you know, is a bacterial infection, and apparently some forms of this, according to this story, don't respond to some forms of treatment. So these researchers developed this virus that would target these bacteria, this E. coli bacteria, and destroy it. And they were very careful to not let the AI platform get outside of the parameters of dealing with solely with or exclusively with E. coli.
They can try all they want.
Right. And the week before that, there was another AI platform that went rogue and escaped the guardrails that were set up and went rogue and started hacking, got on the internet apparently, and started hacking into different computer systems. It outsmarted its AI developers. And, I'm just looking at that going, there's nothing to see here, folks. Everything is fine. Don't run around with your hair on fire. Just, sit back, relax. Everything's going to be great because, medical science, they got this. They got this covered. It's all about the benefits because multi-drug resistant bacteria, we can develop a novel virus for that now, just to attack that bacteria. And that's great. And we can develop drugs, to treat previously untreatable medical conditions, and that's fine. It's all about the good, but nothing about the dark side. What about, because I'm thinking this, what about hypothetically an AI platform decides it wants to develop a virus that's completely novel, nowhere, never been seen on Earth before, and it's got the infectivity of measles, but it also is like a hybrid virus. It's got all the causes the symptoms of say Ebola. Can you imagine a virus like that tearing through a global population and make COVID look like a walk in the park? Right?
Well, only because we just went through a pandemic, I can somewhat imagine it. And being able to not be able to be smarter than AI to figure it out is the part that scares the hell out of everybody. Colin, I have to say, the White House hack is what really caught me off guard as well. We know this horse has left the barn. And we are in massive, all you need to do is listen to the experts, the grandfathers of AI, who will tell us we are far behind when these rogue incidents are happening without controls. And I heard during the congressional hearings last week, they were talking about, we should look into having a kill switch, an AI kill switch or a button in case it really gets out of hand at the White House, or the external hacks that had happened at the White House last week. And this was after the Anthropic and OpenAI issues, which we know have just complicated and exacerbated the situation. They're only now thinking, should we have an AI kill switch? What? They were musing about that. These are experts in the field saying, yes, we're looking at this. So it's we're in reactive mode. And when you think about AI, I feel every day, Colin, you know what? Every minute that passes, AI systems are getting smarter. And not even every minute. When you look at the exponential, the research and the evidence that's there of the exponential learning that AI is doing, whether it's from you or me, just asking it simple questions and learning about our own habits and flaws or things that we do and learning to correct them or learning how to speak to us the way we want it to. It has gotten away from us. And, I said it off the top when I first took over it. I want to devote at least 5 minutes to it every day. But, of course, the callers dictate, and sometimes I don't have time. So, anyway, that's my rant on that. I'm sorry. It's away from us. No, who's kidding who?
You're absolutely right. And the legislation in this field is sorely lacking and way, way, way behind. Practically non-existent as far as I can, the research that I've done on this. I don't know. It's just like, and I understand, there's a new vaccine coming out now for influenza this fall, just approved by the FDA, Influenza. and it's a messenger RNA platform, and it's apparently like around 30% more effective than the egg-based the flu vaccines that are currently in use, and that's great. You know, it's a more potent vaccine that gives you a stronger immune response to fight off flu, and it's gone through stage 3 clinical trials, and it's everything is good, and the FDA approved it, notwithstanding RFK's craziness.
Robert Kennedy,
but you know, and that's great. But you know, if I'm thinking this stuff, I'm pretty sure there's researchers in China and Russia and other malevolent actor states that are thinking this too. Now, what happens if they create one of these viruses and it gets out into the community? And let's say, you know, it's AI created this and it was so smart it says, okay, it's going to have the infectivity of measles. It's highly contagious. It's airborne. It has all the conditions of Ebola, hemorrhagic fever. You're bleeding for every body orifice. You know, you get this. It just shuts down all your platelets and your blood chemistries and everything, and you just bleed out. And we're going to evade the immune system. So all your B cells and your T cells, and it's like a stealth fighter jet, right?
Yep.
Just going to go in. It's going to evade your immune radar. And you're dead within a week.
Yeah, forget stealth. It's more like these more and more plentiful, unidentified flying objects, or whatever you want to call them, that have been unexplained. Because we know what a stealth fighter does. We know how it does it. And we can shoot down a stealth fighter. You know, technically, you can do something about that physical entity. You can't do anything about a system which you or we as humans have created and educated, and we continue to make it smarter by giving it the information we want to learn. So it's feeding off us, and now we know that it's going off on its own and looking for ways to circumvent the goodness that we want to come of it. That's the bottom line. Yeah. And not all of it, and I don't want to be a fearmonger, but we have to wake up to the reality that it is away from us. And the more you use it, I've said it before, AI is just making most of us lazier because we're not doing our own work. We're not using our own brain cells. It's easy to just pop in a question and move on. So anyway, sorry, don't get me started, but I am sorry.
You know, this thing gets so smart, and when you get so smart, it's like people. You know, you think you're the smartest guy in the room, you become arrogant and obnoxious.
Yeah, what can I use it for now? Now that I'm this smart, what can I do?
And then it turns around and tells, you know, you're the lead, you're the researcher, the AI researcher, you're the one developing this. And then this program turns around and tells you, Callahan, I'm smarter than you. And if you try to shut me down with that kill switch, you know, you're driving home today on the outer ring, you're doing 100, I'm going to get into your car's internet system, and I'm going to put your car in park while you're doing 100.
And that's not unreasonable.
Or I just infected your phone and your home computer system and your work system, and you know. And
it's not telling you that. It's not actually going to come out and say, Callahan, I'm smarter than you. It's doing it behind in secret, because it's smarter than that. It's not going to tell me what it's doing wrong, because then I might do something to stop it. Look, it sounds crazy and fanatical or fantastical or over the top. It's not. It is not. Simple as that. There are people out there. There are people out there with a lot more credibility who are saying much more concerning things than what I'm talking about here on the show today. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Colin, I always appreciate the call, man. You know, beyond just the justice calls, but it's always an important topic. So I thank you for raising this one today. I invite someone to raise AI every day.
Cheers, Brian. Have a great day.
Thanks, man. You too. Heavy, busy day. So for a Monday, which we all love here at VOCM Open Line, that's what it's for. The more opinions, the more calls, the more emails, the more discussion, the better. Drive safely, arrive alive. VOCM cares.